Everyone, welcome back to Riffs Across Generations. I'm your host, Andrew, and I'm here with my co-host,
Eli.
We're excited to be joined by not one, not two, but three guests from the Caribbean metal scene in the Caribbean road to Wacken. We have Jerry Orie, who's the man behind the curtain, if you will, for the Wacken Battle, the band's promoter for the Caribbean, for Florida, all things that I know of Wacken metal battles. We have Brando from the band Left-Ovr. He's a bassist and vocalist. And Wesley from the band Moths, and he is the bassist as well. Can you guys just introduce yourself so our audience can put a name with a voice?
Sure. So, yeah, hi, my name is Wesley. As you mentioned, I'm the bass player of the band Moths. We're like a weird mix of prog, stoner, doom, metal from Puerto Rico. And yeah, I mean, very excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. And even more excited about this Wacken metal battle that's happening here in Caribbean in a couple of weeks. We're pretty stoked, nervous, and ready to go. So, yeah, thank you so much for letting me be here.
Okay. My turn?
Yes.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Brando from the band Left-Ovr, winners from the past Metal Wacken edition. And greetings to all the metal audience from the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. And remember, 2 weeks talk now, we're going to have the Metal Battle here in Puerto Rico. It's going to be awesome. So check it out, and it's going to be great.
All right, guys. Hi, my name is Jerry. I'm the director of Piox Promotions. I've been promoting the Wacken Metal Battle in the Caribbean region for the past 10 years. This year marks our 10-year anniversary, which we're celebrating in Puerto Rico. And recently, I've also started doing the Wacken Metal Battle in Florida. And apart from that, I'm also a session bassist. So we're all a bunch of bassists here in the group.
Yeah, really?
Nice. Introduction. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking part of your Sunday. We're recording this on Sunday to talk with us and our audience. We're going to start things off with Wesley. Talk about Moths a little bit. Your band doesn't have a typical metal style that when people think about the Wacken Battle or Wacken Open Air that they would think of Moths and your style, especially younger listeners like Eli who don't even know who King Crimson may be. So can you walk us through your style a little bit and how you mesh all those different styles together to come across as a band and a sound and like a good sounding output?
Sure. Eli, you need to check out In the Court of the Crimson King. That's the first album you definitely need to check out. It's very heavy. It came out in the early 70s, so, it's something worth appreciating. So, yeah, I mean, Moths is basically, we formed in 2016. I used to play in this death thrash metal band here in Puerto Rico called Salvacon, where, the majority of my experience in regards to playing, music marketing, all this stuff kind of like came from there. With that band, I was able to open for Metallica, Creator, Soulfly, and many other bands that played here in the area, in the island. And then, I was listening to a lot of doom and stoner rock and metal by then, and I wanted to do something different, and also prog. So that's when I formed Moths, and then we had Jonathan, which is our lead guitar, and Omar, our rhythm guitar player. These guys joined the bands. And then eventually we had Danny on drums and Mariel joining in the vocals. And we have such a wide, variety of influences from literally hip hop to black metal. We have, everyone listens to pretty much everything in the band. And then, we basically just kind of like just go to the studio, start writing songs to whatever we feel sounds cool to us, And we have no barriers. We have no limitations into whatever we want to bring in. And that's where this kind of like interesting mix comes from. We just try to explore different genres and see what sticks, and we just go with it. As long as we think it sounds cool, we just go with that.
Nice.
Yeah, awesome. How does that energy shift live when you go from an upbeat prog riff to like a laid back jazz section?
Well, it's interesting because we are not. We're in a modern world where the industry and a lot of live bands, they depend a lot on, backing tracks and kind of like click tracks, and which is totally fine. It definitely solidifies the set. In our case, we try to go as live as possible. almost like a jamming session, but within the structure of the songs, right? So it's very interesting because it also depends on the mood of the audience, right? So if we have a bunch of energy, the songs are going to be a little bit quicker maybe, and maybe harder and heavier, and we just try to kind of like incorporate that into the overall experience of every show. So basically every show is a new experience for the audience. So I don't know, for me as a musician, I feel it's interesting because sometimes there's some songs that give us the space to jam a little, and we do different things in every show. So as a musician, it keeps me on my toes, keeps us on our toes. And sometimes cool things come up within those jam sessions, and then we just keep implementing it every other time that we play it live. And I don't know, it just keeps it dynamic and fun, I think.
Yeah, I know a lot of my friends who may not listen to either a lot of metal or do listen to metal were confused at first, but some of them who are maybe even like Tool fans or Pink Floyd fans, they really started to jive with it after a couple listens. And I think that's, for me, from my little world, that's who's really connecting with the sound that I've introduced it to. Except for us here, we love it. My actually wife, who is a big Tool fan, loves you guys now. So yeah, so you're definitely a household jam session. Let's talk about the lyrics a little bit on your first album. It's called Space Force, correct? And I don't want to. I read in an interview with you guys someplace, and I forgot where, that it's kind of a knock on Trump's Space Force. Is that an accurate kind of description of what it's about?
The song Space Force, yes. It was funny because when we were writing that song, I believe that we always work with working titles. Like we do working titles for every single song that we write, and eventually that title ends up not being the final one. For Space Force, I remember that when we finished the song, we were thinking, what's going to be the name of that song? And that, I think it was around the same date where Trump actually did the press conference announcing Space Force. And our then singer, Damaris, she grabbed a bunch of one-liners that he said in that press conference which were wild, like there's no place like space, which we actually named one of the songs like that as well, and a bunch of other stuff. So we just decided to, Damaris decided to actually go a little bit with satire in that particular song, and then just kind of like went along with it, and we made it the whole theme and aesthetic of the album, and it's a fun song to play. It's probably one of my favorite songs to play. And we just tried to kind of like, portray a little bit of the silly side of the band, as well as a weird kind of like, some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Criticism towards what's happening, with that whole crazy idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have some new material coming out soon, right? A single called Gluttony drops at around the same time that hopefully this podcast will release, and then you have an album after that.
Yes, we're very excited. This we've been sitting on this album for a year now. We went in 2022. We went to Argentina to record it, and then it was just a crazy ride because we have just released Space Force, and then Damaris left the band. That's when Mariel, our current singer, joined, and she kind of like had to learn the whole Space Force album to be able to perform it at the release party. Then go to Argentina to actually play a show there. Learn the new songs, record them. It's been crazy for her. It's been kind of like a wild ride for us as well. And then last year around May, we received the master. So we basically have been kind of like working on the, finishing all the details around it, and kind of like looking into the perfect timing to release it. And, then the Wacken Metal Battle was announced. We were like, okay, so if we get to play Wacken, I think that will be the perfect moment to release this album. So we've kind of like, plan around that. Hopefully, if we make it there, we can release it while being in the Wacken. And then, we're very excited. It's a new phase of the band. Like, we have new styles, a more extreme approach to the music. It still has the weird psychedelic prog side of Moths, but we incorporated a few elements of death, black metal in it, and now with Mariel singing, she has a very symphonic metal background. Like that's the music that she listens to the most. So we get to incorporate that in the music, which, brings another layer, another element of weirdness into everything that we do. And I'm excited. I'm very proud of this album. We've put a lot of work into it. And up to this point, I think it's one of, if not the best, it's probably one of the best material I've been involved in my whole career. So yeah, very excited. So yeah, hopefully the single is already out for some of you out there, and on Spotify and the different streaming platforms. You can find it there, or Ampwell, Bandcamp as well, and then the album's going to be out on August 1st.
Nice.
Yeah. Is the next like the next songs that you release, are they gonna be the same style as your older songs?
No. It's interesting because once people get to hear the album, they're going to see that the beginning of the album does have some elements that are a little bit of a throwback, or some kind of like call to Space Force and the stuff that we did before. But as the album progresses, then we start shifting to this new phase of the band where it gets a little bit heavier and darker. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of elements, because of the environments, the things that are happening here in Puerto Rico. Even though we're not necessarily a political band or a band that really kind of like calls out stuff, like you can feel the anger, and you can feel like like those feelings in our music with everything that's happening around us. So that you get to see a darker shift towards that. And the interesting thing is that we already have another album basically already written, and the songs are completely different to everything that's going to come out on the new record and that you have heard so far. So we're very excited. We're just trying to kind of like get set at the beginning. We're just trying to do what we like and just go with it.
Nice. Okay, let's talk about the Wacken Battle. What was it like for the first getting on it, and what did the first round look like, and how are you preparing for this final round that's coming up?
Sure. So, like I said, we had the masters of the album last year, and we were like thinking, what would be the perfect timing to release this? And then, we got the announcement of that it was going to happen here in Puerto Rico, and that the chance of that happening, it was like, okay, we need to be the first ones submitting. We need to be the first ones kind of like trying to get a hold of that, because it's a perfect opportunity. Personally, I've been working in bands and in the scene for 15 years now, and basically I've been trying to get an opportunity like this to happen, for us to be able to elevate to the next level. And for Moths, we've been working tirelessly since 2016, and even though we had a hurricane pass over here in Puerto Rico, we had the pandemic as well. We've just keep waking up and just getting at it, trying to get that opportunity happening. And then we submitted, and when it was announced, I believe it was on December 23rd. That was my Christmas gift. Honestly, it was my Christmas gift. We had like 5 minutes of celebration, and then it was okay. Let's start to work and get ready for this. And as far as preparations, obviously we understand the importance of the show, but at the same time, we don't want to put extra pressure on ourselves, because I know from experience that whenever you try to force things, they don't work. So we are treating it as any other show, but at the same time, understanding the importance of it and how much it will mean for us in the overall growth to our career. So we're just, rehearsing as much as possible. We already know the songs that we're going to be playing. We're going to be playing new material as well, so people will be able to get to hear that first in there. And, just excited. And hopefully, again, and also like we're super happy and excited to share the stage with not only the other two Puerto Rican bands who are amazing bands in Modules and A Burning Rose, but also, playing with Genocide from the Dominican Republic and Dark Shores from Aruba, as well as Left-Ovr, and Disquiet. It's going to be an awesome show. It's also our first show since September of 2024. So we're very excited. Just can't wait. It's a couple of weeks away. So
very cool. We're kind of bummed we're not going to be able to get to that show, of course. So and it's a good lead into what's up, Brando? How's it going?
Can I talk, Ron?
Yeah. We'll get to you. We got to you now. So for those who don't know, Left-Ovr, who haven't heard your band yet, I wanted to let you know that this album is officially my workout album and my running album, and it's just got that. When I hear it, it's that hell fuck yeah feel. Like beer drinking, throwing shit around, being all rowdy feel to the album, which is fantastic. It's a great groove fest of an album.
My job here is done. Okay.
So that's how I would describe you guys to somebody who hasn't heard you yet. How would you describe your band? and to somebody who hasn't heard it, who's maybe into metal but hasn't heard your style of it?
Well, let me put it this way: we're four different guys with different kind of taste. Okay, Joel is a bluesy guy. He likes blues. He likes very old school rock, like from Cream or Hendrix or Clapton, Zeppelin. And then you have Eggy, our other guitar player who likes hard rock, like Guns N' Roses, like the Black Crowes. And I like good old trash, death metal, and then Bebo, our drummer, he's a prog guy, a new metal guy. So you put together all those tastes, and well, you got it. But we all like the old stuff like CC Top, Pantera. We love Black Sabbath. We love Van Halen. So we're kind of old guys, from old school. We try to stay stay in the game. With new sounds and everything, but you can hide the blues and you can hide the good old trash and good old metal that's been in our veins for so many years. And there you have it. You have like a stoner southern groove power metal. I don't know how to say it, but it's kind of catchy. We like we basically we like to be a groove metal band. We like to have a good hook, so you can dance and jump and have a good time.
Yeah, we weren't really surprised by I mean, the groove is great, but we weren't surprised by it as much as there was the southern metal feel to your music, which really I guess added a whole dimension to it. And I seen some clips of you guys live, and it seems like those groove riffs you play are much bigger live. They come off bigger and they come off deeper.
Yeah. The thing is that we all have in common that we like that thing that we're playing right now, and when we sit down and bring our new riffs, our new stuff to write new songs, it all bands together to the same the same style again as a swampy southern metal group. So we stayed there. So it's like our staple now. It's our formula. So we have to dig it. We have to roll with it.
It's great. We love it over here. Lyrically, you're also pretty interesting too, and some of your lyrics caught me personally off guard a little bit. The South one in particular, that's a pretty deep song lyrically, as well as the video. Do you care to talk about that song a little bit and what the lyrics are to that? At first blush, if you're not paying attention to the lyrics or watching the video, it connects with your southern metal type feel, but it's a little deeper than that.
You really want to know about it?
Yeah.
When I was very young, I went to the States, and I gotta say it. So sorry. I mean, this is the truth, and I'm not hurting anybody. So I saw a sign in the store, and I'm not gonna say which state or where was that, but it said no Puerto Ricans, no Negroes, and no dogs allowed. So it's kind of stayed in my mind forever. And I didn't took it personally because I was there for just a vacation, but I am Puerto Rican. And then I said one day when I join a band, I'm gonna write a song about it, and I did it. So
nice.
There it is. I don't want to get too political. I don't want to get to.
Cool.
I know times have been hard for everybody now, especially right now in the States about immigration and everything like that. But I don't know why somebody has to be called illegal. But that is for another show. I don't want to.
It's always good to call out shitheads when you can.
Okay, I don't want to spoil the good news about Wacken Metal Battles, but you wanted to know. So, but I said to myself, I got to write. That was metal. That is what metal is about. You got to write something about what you fucking hate and what makes you mad. So
yeah,
I was very young. I didn't understand politically at the time, but I knew there was something wrong with that sign, and I said, well, someday I have to write something about it, and then I did, and then there you have it, the South won. At the end of the day, maybe the South won.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can move on to another one of your songs,
Mm-hmm.
Millennium in Darkness. You talk a lot about symbolism in that song. it's good to talk to a band that has lyrics that are just deeper than we talk to a lot of death metal bands and they talk about death metal stuff. So so if you'd like to talk about the song, we'd love to hear it.
Of course.
Yeah. So could you talk a little bit about the triangle symbolism and things like that?
Well, another thing that we have around the world and music industry and the Hollywood and everywhere is symbolism. It's we can't deny that. It's everywhere. The pyramid, the LCNI, pentagram. Just to mention a few symbols that you see everywhere every day. And as a Christian, and I'm not gonna lie about it. I'm not gonna be ashamed about it. I believe in God, and we know there's something's gonna happen. Something's coming in this world. So it ain't gonna stay this way forever. And we are in the middle of the game that we are against the good and evil. Whether you like it or not, I respect everybody's beliefs. I respect everybody's right to believe in whatever they want. But we are in the middle of a conflict between good and evil, and then something's gonna happen. And he's playing. The evil forces are playing more clear in your face day by day. So you can see it in the movie. You can see it in the song. Why always the metal always brings out the Baphomet and the upside down star. We call it a pentagram. There's always that. It's been like that. But nowadays, it's more in your face. It's more openly. Everybody's not afraid to carry whatever symbol they want. Again, I don't have a problem with that. I respect everybody's right to believe whatever they want. But Millennium in Darkness is a song that tells you that it's getting clear that we're in the middle of a conflict, and it's getting in your face every day, and you got to open your eyes. And which side you're going to be at the end.
Yeah. Let's move on. We're gonna get through that. Or we get through dark questions, whatever. Let's talk about being winners in this. Can you talk about the Wacken Battles and the feeling? I'm sure it was a crazy feeling stepping onto the huge Wacken stage. You just want to talk about that a little?
Yes, I can. Jerry can be my witness here. How much Joel pushed this thing and bugged this guy around. Hey, Jerry, me here. And the thing about being in a metal battle is how much you want this. You really want to win? Do you really want to be there? Do you really want to go to Wacken? As I told you, at my age, everybody knows about Wacken, and every metalhead around the world have heard the word Wacken. They know it's an icon, it's a staple of the mother of all festivals, and everybody want to be there. As a spectator or artist, they want to be there. So we wanted to be there from day one, and it's very hard to get to Wacken. It's hard. It's not impossible, but it's very hard. So we worked our asses off. We bugged Jerry's every day until this day. That guy had to put up with us every day. So I hope he understands that we never let him down. That we meant every word that we said. That we wanted to be there. That we wanted to be part of this. And we were lucky to win back in Guyana. The nicest people, the greatest crowd that I ever saw and ever had the pleasure to be with them. It was an awesome, and to win there and then to go to Wacken with Jerry. It was a king in the county story. It was a little boy going to Disneyland. So you have no words for it because you're going to the Mecca. You're going to the trip of your life. You're hanging out with the peoples of Iron Maiden on your side, with the peoples of DSI, with the guys who are Anthrax, with the guy of Accept, with this and that. And look who's there! Look who's there! I mean, you get to be a rock star for a day. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful being back in and be able to play there. And I can tell you about the many things that could have happened that we couldn't play over there, but. Thank God we played because it was an unprecedented rain issue over there. It it was very hard for many bands. Actually, many bands didn't got to play at all, but we were lucky to play there. So it was an amazing adventure, an amazing experience that we will never forget. And look, we were so happy that we said, Jerry, we gotta bring this competition to Puerto Rico, and here we are. In 2 weeks from now, we're gonna be there's gonna be another metal battle here in the Caribbean, in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico.
Very nice, very nice. And then after that, you got an invite to play 7,000 Tons, right? The metal cruise.
Oh, one thing leads to another. So I tell every band that's gonna be playing here, you're gonna get good consequences. Just be prepared. Get your portfolio, your press kits. Get everything. Give everything to everybody you know. Just knock on doors, because you don't know what door can be opened. You don't know who can call you for this event or this festival or this and that. You gotta be willing to be working every day, because this is your band is your business. So you gotta take care of it. You gotta be with your eyes open here in this industry. It's very hard. Everything comes so slow. Everything goes so unnoticed. You gotta be a real awake to be to receive everything that comes around you.
Nice. What's next for your band? When are we going to hear new music, I guess, is the big question.
Oh yes, we're working on new music. We have a couple of songs already, but everything has to be put on hold just for a few more weeks, because we were working our asses off here with the metal battle, and Jerry knows about it. So we're rehearsing, but it's going to be our set. We're going to have a 20-minute window over there as a headliner, but soon as the metal battle ends, and we're going to start working on a new record, and hopefully to get in the studio late in this year. Yes, you're going to be hearing new stuff from Left-Ovr. And actually, we're going to play a new song that have never been played anywhere. And anywhere. And you're going to get to hear it there in the metal battle, God willing. Yeah.
Yeah, what advice do you have for any band currently in the Wacken Battle, or for that matter, anywhere in the world?
As I said, how bad do you want this? Do you really want to be take your band to the next level? Do you really wanna be a step ahead of the game? Because you have a band to have some drinks and hang out on the weekend. Hey, that's okay, because I've done it, and I've been there the whole time, my whole life. Just I played, hey, for a box of beer or a liter of rum at but do you want to be the best? Do you want to take your band to another new audience? So it takes time, it takes effort, it takes money, it takes a lot of I don't know, a lot of yourself. You're gonna get hated. You're gonna lose friends. You're gonna lose your wife. You're gonna lose your job. But at the end, it's gonna be worth it. Yeah, But to be the best in the game, it takes a lot. It takes a lot.
The thing is, how I've ever heard anyone say.
How bad do you want this? How bad do you want this? Do you really want it, or do you really want to hang out just the weekend? That's okay. There's no problem with it. But do you want to take it to the next level? You gotta be willing to make some sacrifices.
Yeah, very, very nice. Jerry, you still with us?
I'm still here, man. I'm enjoying these two guys. I'm enjoying their stories. I'm enjoying their, everything they have to say. So yeah.
Yes, there it is.
All right.
Okay. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the Wacken battle in the Caribbean, in Florida, and how you got involved with that?
Yeah. So I have a European background. I lived in Europe for a while. We're a Dutch colony, so basically it's the same like Puerto Ricans coming back and forth to the States. You have with Surinamese going to Holland, to the Netherlands. So we're basically also considered Dutchies. We're the only Dutch-speaking country on the continent of South America. So yeah, I lived in the Netherlands for many years. Lived in Amsterdam, toured with my bands over there. Visited tons of festivals in my years over there, and it was man, I had the best of times, in my teens and my 20s, touring and playing. And I'm like, I saw Wacken, went to Grass Pub, many of the European festivals in the area, and I always thought it would be so cool to have something like this, in our region, the Caribbean. So yeah, many years later, I returned to Suriname, and I basically took the Wacken formula and the Dynamo Open Air Fest formula. Basically, everything I saw, I took with me. First, I opened up a rock bar, and then I started, putting up local bands to play outside. And within the first year, we put up our first open air festival, which was in 2008. Um, Hold on one second. Oh, are you guys still there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So within the first year, we put up our first open air festival called Monkey's Open Air. The second year started including regional bands from Guyana, French Guyana. Third year, we got Brazil involved, so it started growing rapidly. By 2014, 2012, I actually went on 70K to start getting bands from there. We got Delane, a symphonic metal band from Europe, to headline Anki's Open Air. And by 2015, my good friend Jochen from the Wacken Battle Netherlands visited Anki's Open Air in Suriname. By then, it had grown to, we had about 1,000 to 1,500 in attendance on the parking lot, which is pretty decent amount of people,
Yeah.
especially in that region. Um, we saw how the whole thing was set up, and basically he reached out to Wacken. Hey man, we didn't have that many countries participating back then. It was still early on. Wacken Metal Battle was only about 10 years old because it started in 2003. So we got the invite to represent the Caribbean region in 2015 at Wacken Open Air on the judges panel. So that was great. I remember I was in Greece at the time with my wife on an island called Samos, and we had a little cottage on top of a hill, and I was sitting at the bar, down the street, and I got the email like, "Welcome to Team Caribbean to Wacken," and I'm like looking at the screen. I'm like, "What?" So I literally ran up that hill, out of breath, barging into that door. My wife's half asleep, like, "Babe, babe, we got it." So yeah, before that, 2 months later, we went to the Netherlands, because we're there basically every summer to go out to all the summer festivals, and now it's also Wacken is also included. So that was our first year as members of the jury panel, which was awesome. We got to see how it works. We were also on the jury panel of the Metal Battle Netherlands that year, so we got to do it twice before our first edition in 2016, which I did in Suriname. And the Wacken Metal Battle Caribbean, since our region is so small, we don't compete every year. We choose not to compete every year. We do it every other year, which basically, gives all regional bands the chance to get their act together. And since there are a lot of bands, but you need bands to be able to perform at the level that we need them to perform at. And it's not always easy to find bands at that level. So once they see that one band set the bar in 2016, for instance, that was Lynchpin from Trinidad. We went to Wacken, they were our champion back then. They set the bar pretty high. That gave all the Caribbean bands basically a year and a half to get their act together before went to the next edition, and that's how basically how we work, which works out perfectly fine now due to the amount of countries that are actually participating, and that countries are now needing to pause because there are only 30 slots available um, every year. So with us participating every other year, that basically guarantees us a slot at every edition that we want to participate at. So that's basically the story behind the Metal Battle Caribbean.
Very cool. How do you go
Yeah.
about the logistics of and getting everybody on the same page and the reach out and taking all the submissions? How difficult is that?
So yeah, that's a good question. That's quite a challenge because you know, compared to other regions where people or bands can just drive from one show to another. In the Caribbean, it's a bit more complicated because we're all different islands. It's not the logistics get very complicated. There are no direct flights most of the time, so you have to hop around. Catch a layover in Trinidad or Aruba or wherever just to reach from one end to the other. And also the language barrier. You have Dutchies, you have English speaking people, you got Frenchies, you got Spanish speaking people. So you got a language barrier, you got the logistics. Yeah, and also work ethics. It's trying to get everybody. It's basically schooling a region on how to operate according to international standards. So it takes some time. It takes a lot of effort. Takes a lot of careful planning. That's why the doing it every other year gives me more than enough time to really plan it out and then find the perfect team to work with, depending on which country I do it, because we never stay at the same country. We do it, every edition is held at a different country in the Caribbean. So, setting up a team together, making sure that everybody's on the same page, going through countless phone calls and emails and just getting through it before we actually announce, hey, we're back. Submissions are open. It's months of work
Yeah.
that have gone by to reach that point to where we can kind of open, the submissions. And then it's planning, towards the production of the show, planning out logistics. I kind of have a set schedule. We always open our submissions around mid-October. We end submissions at December 15th, and we announce all finalists a couple of days before Christmas because that's the best Christmas present you can have. And Wesley just said it. Merry Christmas, you're on board. And then
Yep, that was awesome.
so
It
that's
happened
how
to
we.
us. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's basically the standard formula that I stick to here in the Caribbean. And then January we start with the real promo towards the show. We always try to keep the shows. We only have one show between the months of March or April. 2023, we did it in February, but that was our first comeback since COVID. And yeah, as I mentioned, we don't have preliminary rounds because we don't have that many bands, and getting preliminary rounds done in the region that will cost the bands even more in logistics. So it's wiser for us to stick to one major final and just the bands that we choose to make that choice really count and make sure that we have the perfect mix of bands in there to represent Caribbean metal, and and that's where we move forward from.
Yeah. Do you notice that like each Wacken battle territory has their own musical vibe and feel?
You mean worldwide?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. That is the beautiful thing about Wacken is it's like the United Nations of rock and metal.
Yes,
Metal
it is.
Battle is literally the United Nations of rock and metal. When we come together, when all these countries have done their finals, their prelims, everything, and they've come up with one winner, all of us travel to that same location in that same week, in the world, Wacken, and all of these bands and promoters, everybody meets up at that same campground, and we're all just kind of camping together. You're camping next to Israel or Italy or Japan or China or South Africa. You never know who's next to you, and you just become brothers for life. And you check out each other's scene, especially leading up to the grand final in at Wacken. Um, all of us promoters are good friends. We are such a close knit group. We're in a big, huge WhatsApp group chat together. We all joke around. We invite each other to each other's finals. I've traveled to Iceland and stayed there after the Icelandic people have come to Suriname. Everybody just kind of it's just a close knit group, and it's just amazing. Different scenes, different vibes, different approaches to metal. European metal, American metal, Asian metal, South African metal. It's all different, but you should definitely check out all the metal battle pages worldwide, because all these countries have their pages, and you can follow everything and just see how these bands battle it out in their own region. And then you get a bit of the culture too. You get to know the promoters, and so everybody's kind of checking each other out now as we move forward. All the competing bands are checking all the other countries out. Everybody's kind of, who's this, who's that, who's this, who's that. And then you finally meet up at Wacken, like, oh man, I saw you guys performing here and you guys did awesome. And I saw what you guys did then. And, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now sponsors are a very important part of pulling, I'm sure, all of this off.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about the participation of Dean Guitars and any other sponsors that are supporting these battles?
Yeah. So Dean Guitars, that's actually the bass right there. That's going to the Caribbean battle. Um, Dean has been a longtime sponsor of the U.S. battle. Um, and since Dean is based in Tampa, through our partners at Tampa Bay Metal Scene, we got in touch with Chris Canella. I met up with him, and they sponsored two guitars, one guitar for the Florida battle and one bass for the Caribbean battle. So we also have Access pedals on board. They've sponsored one pedal for the winner of the Florida battle. But mostly, it's sponsors like and partners like yourselves, media partners, photography. It's just not a lot of sponsors in terms of monetary funds or anything. It is always a challenge to set up these shows. You have also there's also the Wacken Foundation. The Wacken Foundation does help out countries in need of support, lesser known countries. Um, um, but then again, it doesn't cover the majority of the cost, like venue rental and gear rental, and just name it. Logistics cost a lot. Printing of promo material, sometimes cost a lot unless you get that sponsored. So it's basically you gotta. It's always a challenge trying to work it out, trying to get it done. Who can help out with what? You guys are helping out promote both Florida and Caribbean right now by doing this podcast, which we really appreciate. And if you look at the bottom row of all the flyers, you got all the sponsors. So you basically see, you already know what basically everybody sponsored or what everybody's role is in the partnership program.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So what can our listeners do besides checking out, see if there's shows in the areas and go and support those bands, or checking out the bands support it? Is there one main location they can go to check out what's happening in Wacken Battles? And is there anything else they can do? Is there merch areas they can go buy merch online, or anything like that?
Um, yeah, definitely. If you want to know what's going on with the Wacken Metal Battle worldwide, check out the Wacken Metal Battle socials on Instagram, Facebook, also the official website, metal-battle.com. But also, if you want to see what's going on locally with us in the Caribbean, check out the Wacken Metal Battle Caribbean socials. We're both on Instagram and Facebook. Um, Merchandise, we only do print on demand because, in the past I've printed so many shirts, and then at the end of the day, you're left with quite a lot of stock which you basically can't sell. So that's why I basically only do print on demand now. So people can always order merch on the Caribbean pages. We have all the merch posted, what it looks like. One thing about the Metal Battle merch is always that it's always uniform worldwide. There's one design which is used worldwide. It's just the back that is different with the lineup. So both the Florida and the Caribbean merch are the same, but the lineup is different. That's the only difference. So for the Caribbean merch, check out the Metal Battle Caribbean socials, and that's where you can just send an email to Caribbean at metal-battle.com to place your order. We do have a deadline because everything will be printed here in Tampa, and I'm taking a suitcase with merch over to Puerto Rico. So I do need, to get all orders as soon as possible. Due to a little miscommunication, we might have to bring the deadline up a little bit closer than initially, because I was planning to print all the merch in Puerto Rico, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen anymore. That was a last minute, you know, little screw up, but I'm going to have to do it in Tampa. So, people listening in the Caribbean, please place your order as soon as possible because I need to have them printed ASAP. And with regards to the Florida region, check out the Piox Promotion socials, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Since Piox Promotion does both the Florida and the Caribbean regions, and all the merch in Florida can be purchased online. Just check out the link on the Piox Promotions pages.
I wanted to bring us all finally back to Puerto Rico centric. I read an interview a while ago. I think it was with you, Wesley, about Puerto Rico metal in the early days, and I was blown away that you mentioned some friends of mine, Cardinal Sin.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so back in 1989, I interviewed them for my fanzine when they released the demo Infanticide. So
No
everything kind
way.
of comes,
Wow.
yeah, everything kind of comes full circle. It's when they moved to New Hampshire, just
Yeah.
after they moved
Unbelievable.
up to New Hampshire. So that was cool. I interviewed John and Kenny from the band. So
Yeah.
that was pretty awesome. They got a mention, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned them on the podcast. If anybody can check them out, please do. They were a great band. So I guess the question is, what's changed in 35 years in the Puerto Rico metal scene, and how is
Woo.
it today?
I mean, I think Brando could talk a little bit more than, and I don't wanna put it in front of like the age here, But Brandon has been a little bit more in the scene than I have been. I personally can say that I've been involved in the scene. Well, my first show was back in 2006 that I went to. My first show as a official performer of a metal band was in 2010. I can say that in these 15 years, a lot has changed. But I can say that Puerto Rico has always been a amazing place for metal bands, and not only metal, like anything that has to do with like the heavier side of music, like hardcore, punk. Puerto Rico has always had really amazing bands. It's just that obviously, unfortunately, for our location, our geographical location, people don't get to see them because we don't get to tour as much as we would like to. but I feel like I kind of hate using this word, but it's kind of like the best way to describe it. And it's that, we are like the resilience in the scene, is tied into how Puerto Ricans are resilient to every single bad thing that has happened to us especially in the past 10 years, with Hurricane Maria in 2017 and then the pandemic. Like, I was constantly afraid that, okay, this is it, because every time that these things have happened, the scene is at some sort of peak where you see a bunch of bands releasing amazing albums or going on tour or getting signs. All these things have happened every single time we get like a catastrophe, something like this. So for me, it's kind of like, here we go again. The scene is not going to be able to recover, and what's going to happen with the bands? Because life happens as well. Like people get families and work and all this stuff. So, but we've been able to overcome that, and every 10 years we have like a group of bands are kind of like setting the bar, and it's just awesome to see because you get to share the stage and kind of like get to know these people who do amazing music. But I'm pretty sure Brandon can give you a wider range of what has happened in these years.
Oh my God. So I never get to meet the Cardinal scene. I never saw them live because I was in the part of the island that I didn't have a car to go to to go to the show. I was always taking a ride. But once I had my band back then, it was called Mindscape. I was playing in this bar, and then the bass player from Cardinal Scene came to me to see the bass that I had at the time. It was a Rickenbacker, and he had one too, and let me see that. And he started playing. Let's like mine this and that. He was a cool guy. But I've been in the metal scene here in Puerto Rico since 1988. I've been playing here and there with a couple of bands. I opened here for Malevolent Creation. We opened here for my band. All the many bands I've been here, we played God Forbid, Empire Divine, or Divine Empire, Overkill. Joel play open Striper too here. So we've been here and there, and as Wesley mentioned, there's been a peak. We've been at the top of the crest, then we've been down. There's been ups and downs everywhere. Hey, it happens everywhere. But our point in the Caribbean, our side, our geographical point here, it makes us very hard to get exposed to be seen back in the day because there were no internet, there was no social media, so it was very hard. So we still have a good scene here. It always has been, but the weak point here is as far as I can see. The worst part was that they were divided by the hardcores were hardcores and they didn't accept any kind of metal, and then the death metal didn't like other genres or the punks or all the it was like that back in the day, or the skinheads or everything. They were all into groups, and they weren't accept anybody as they do now. But yes, we have right now we have a good metal scene. I can say yes. It's we can call it a healthy metal scene. Yeah.
Nice.
I want to add that I never got to see Cardinal Sin because I think they were playing before I was even alive. But I do want to say that infanticide, especially the song, it's like for any old school Metallica, Sepultura, and even like early Pantera stuff, they were doing that already, and again, it says a lot of how there's a lot of bands in here again that are probably ahead of the curve, but they don't get the exposure they do deserve. No one really hears about them, and I think Cardinal Sin, you hear them today and still very a fresh sound, So yeah, great band, and they really set up the standard, for everything that came forward.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
So not to rub it in, but I've seen him like 15 times. So
That hurts. That hurts. That hurts. Actually, I'm not sure if you're aware, but a couple of years ago, Ramon Ortiz from Puya, he did.
He did a cover. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was Infanticide. Well, I don't remember which song it was, but he gathered a bunch. Actually, one of the Cardinal Sin guys was playing that. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It sounds amazing.
Nice.
Yes.
Jerry, do you want to talk about your history of what it was like and what it's like now? Where you've been, I guess, all around the world?
In terms of how the metal scene grew, or in the Caribbean?
Yeah, just the health of the metal scene and what it was like, 35 years ago compared to
I'm from the early '90s. I'm like I came in a little later than Brando. The South American metal scene has been a very difficult metal scene. Very few bands around that time came out, and the only famous one that really made it big was Sepultura around the early '90s. Late '80s. You got Beneath the Remains, Arise, Chaos AD around that time. But for the rest, there weren't that many bands from that region. But then again, I was more familiarized with the European scene, moving to those parts, and that was a killer scene, man. You had all these major festivals starting up back then. You got Dynamo Open Air, some legendary footage from legendary bands playing live at Dynamo Open Air. Wacken started out in 1990. So the scene in the '90s in Europe was amazing. For me myself, how I experienced everything is basically starting in South America, moving to Europe, and then as I was in Europe, started mixing up with U.S. based bands, and bands I toured with were mostly West Coast based, Taipan, Raven Black. So, but that was much later on. Um, as Wesley said, we took an enormous hit. COVID kind of killed it all. Um, we were all also with the Metal Battle Caribbean. It was going to be a huge event, the 2020 edition. Um, Actually, our 2020 edition was scheduled for Saturday, March 27th or 28th, and that Saturday before March 20th is when everything was shut down. Borders were closed. So all the flights had been booked, all the logistics, all the work had been done, backdrops had been printed, everything was done. All that money spent on flight tickets and all the production costs, all of that was lost. Um, so we took an enormous hit. It was going to be Wacken Battle Caribbean meets Unky's Open Air edition, so it was going to be huge. Um, and that never happened. So in 2020, it all went quiet, and that's basically when I decided to, hey man, I told my wife, my wife's Floridian, let's go to the States, and then here we are now, working, living in Tampa, and doing the Tampa scene. So yeah, it's been quite an interesting ride for myself as a musician, as a promoter as well. Yeah, it's basically operating in three different continents.
Yeah.
and in the course of a year, hopping from one to the other, especially around the summertime, because right now we're doing the Caribbean, and then it's back to the U.S., and then afterwards back to Europe, and then you kind of repeat the whole cycle again. So it's interesting, and it's also I'm grateful that I get to do that. It's been quite an interesting ride.
Yeah, this was a great interview. Anyone have any last words for our listeners?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to doing this 10-year anniversary in Puerto Rico. Especially with my boys from Left-Ovr being the production team over there. from coaching them as artists, going to Wacken as their tour manager, from now coaching them to becoming promoters for the Wacken Metal Battle. It's been quite a ride. You know, we've been working together for what is it now? 2.5 years, Brando. Um, Something like that. And I'm just looking forward to this happening. We are getting extra um, exposure because the marketing team from Wacken itself is coming over to the Caribbean final.
Oh, nice.
So we will be getting a lot of exposure on the official Wacken Open Air and Wacken Metal Battle channels. Um, I'm also looking forward to meeting my boys from the Squad. It's my one of my previous bands from the Netherlands. I used to play in. So they're headlining. They're celebrating their 25-year anniversary, and we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So it's all just coming full circle, man. It's gonna be one hell of a party, and you know, it's always nice to or kind of scary in a way to organize events in places where you've never been before.
Yeah, yeah.
They're kind of blindly doing it. You know, it's all video chats and emails, and you know, it's just. But every time it's worked out well, and I'm sure that this time is going to be nothing less but amazing, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Okay, well, thanks guys for coming on. This is great.
Thank you for inviting me and inviting us. It's a great. You know, these things do help along a lot. So you know, I really appreciate it, and hopefully, we'll be in Tampa sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely,
That'd be
brother. I'm working here with the guys from Tampa Bay metal scene, and I definitely have plans to start incorporating the Caribbean and the Florida scene and start doing things together and start, you know, kind of merging those two scenes together. So there's another outlet for the Caribbean bands as well, opposed to
For sure.
only having Europe as an outlet. That now we're also moving towards the States, and it's so close by. So Florida, it just makes perfect sense for us to do stuff here in Tampa. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's a work in progress, and we're definitely growing. This is Piox Promotions' first year here, and we've already made some major steps. And next year is just only going to be it's only going to get better and better. So yeah,
Excellent.
good things are coming.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, thanks again for coming on, and I hope we see you guys soon. And I hope we see you guys out in Wacken on video, I guess.
All right, guys, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
Yeah.
us.
Take care, guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Stay tuned.
All right,
All right.
Thank you.
cheers.
Bye bye.